Well, Kyle Neddenriep here from the Indy Star, and talking today with Jeffersonville, Sherron Wilkerson, PJ Douglas, Michael Cooper, and Trey Singleton was going to join us, but I think he's feeling a little under the weather, but hopefully he's feeling okay by sectional time, right, Sherron?
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining me. Obviously, you guys, and I'll start with you, Sherron. Last year, uh, basically 1 point away from making the state finals. A lot of expectations coming into this season, and you guys have lived up to them. Certainly, especially here of late. 16-5, ranked number 6 in the state as of today in the Class 4A poll. I think rankings and records may matter least with you guys because of your situation with Trey Singleton coming back. But just how do you feel like your team is playing right now? You've won 10 in a row, and as you head into the sectional next week.
Well, first, thanks for having us, Kyle. We really appreciate it. I will be honest with you, Kyle, that we're getting healthy. Hey, man, so I think that's been the hurdle for us starting this season, man. We started out this season with injuries. Now we're rounding the third base coming home, and we're finally starting to get healthy.
And with Trey coming back, you're kind of hit with that before the season starts. I know he was in a workout for some of the colleges were in to look at him. And, then obviously you're kind of playing the waiting game as he gets healthy. How have you seen him now? I mean, he looks now, as I watch you guys play a couple of games on video recently, he looks fully healthy. How has that changed your team right now at this point in the season?
So it's been huge for us. And man, being able to get our identity back has been it's been huge for our program and our players. No, I think, Kyle, the thing is that typically when you have an injury specifically with one of your franchise players, it trickles down and it affects everybody in your program. I mean, man, as you know. So I think that our young guys did a fantastic job of making that adjustment. They got thrown to the fire pretty early. Going into the season, we had certain plans with a big part of our seniors that was coming back, and obviously that fell through with the injuries that we've had to deal with. So being that we're able to get healthy at the pristine time has been a blessing in disguise for us.
And I ask you, and I should mention, both P.J. Douglas and Michael Cooper committed to the same school. They're both going to Wright State, which is pretty cool, and I think probably shows that you guys must like each other if you're gonna if you're gonna go on and play in college together. Kind of take me through that a little bit, and I'll mention it up front too. Cooper averaging 19 points a game, PJ about 13.2, 5.2 rebounds, and 2.4 assists. PJ does a little bit of everything for you guys. And Trey, about 18.3 and 7.2. So really a three-headed monster for you. I know you have other good players too, but starting with those three, obviously very good. But just take me through that, Michael, if you would. I can't remember which one of you committed first, but what was that process like, and how excited are you two to play with each other again in college?
It was definitely a good process. I think you committed first, but he didn't tell me, so it wouldn't persuade my opinion. So I guess I'm grateful for that. But it just felt like the right fit. I feel like they put the most work in for me, so it just felt like the safe choice.
And how about for you, PJ?
Exactly what he said. I didn't want to tell him because I wanted him to do what's best for him. But it turns out it's the best decision for both of us. So now we get to go into college together.
And Sherron, how just having these senior leaders and sort of too also I would say there's a lot of motivation when you come so close to your goal like you guys did last year and not quite get there. But not many teams have this kind of senior leadership coming back that you guys have this year. What has that meant for your team?
Well, it's been huge from a standpoint of being able to create the identity of our program with our younger kids, Kyle. I mean, man, I think having the ability to have a senior-led program to be able to explain to the younger players and the student athletes coming through the expectations, it really bends that curve, if you will, from a learning perspective. So we've been very fortunate in that aspect. And I will also tell you, we have really challenged our guys. So we run what we call a Big Brother program here during our off season. And that is basically where we connect our older guys with our up and coming students and student athletes. And by all means, Kyle, these guys have done an absolute fantastic job of even taking it beyond that. I mean, man, they get out in the community, they support the younger kids, baseball games, soccer games, they go all over. So from a philanthropic standpoint, I mean, they've even taken it to the next level. And that's something that we have put a point of emphasis on in our program.
Michael, you guys, watching your games on video here recently, and obviously know a lot about the Jeff program over the years, what a tradition it is. But how are you feeling the support now? As you come down the home stretch here, and just what's it like playing? Kind of describe what it's like playing there for Jeff.
It's a great time for sure. I feel like once we started winning again, like the community kind of got behind us, so it makes it more fun, especially with our home games. I mean, I feel like they're pretty packed, so it just makes it easier to want to play hard and just go as hard as we can.
And PJ, with that program, Coach Wilkerson's talking about how important is that to you to kind of pass it down to the next generation of players?
Oh, it's very important because there's going to be people that still watch Jeff and interact with Jeff after we leave. So I want them to get the same support we got. And in order to do that, you got to do the right things. You got to, win, because nobody wants to come if you're not winning. So, if we could if that can trickle down to them, it'd be good.
When did you guys? I saw you playing at the Hall of Fame in person, and obviously that's when Trey came back. His first game back was that afternoon, but obviously wasn't fully healthy. When did you guys, as players, maybe feel like, all right, we're back to maybe being what we thought we could be at the beginning of the season, or even going into the season before the injury?
Kyle, let me answer that first. Kyle will tell you we were in a unique situation being that we were at the Hall of Fame, especially with Trey having that injury. We felt at that time, Kyle, that it was extremely important that we showed not only the state, but also that we showed his future coaching staff that he was able to perform again at a high level. We at that time, we was fully secure in the fact that the bone had healed. However, from a standpoint of having his game legs, he was nowhere near ready to play. But again, we made an executive decision to make sure that the state of Indiana knew, and more importantly, his college coaching staff was aware, man, that he was on the mend and doing extremely well. And then the other piece that I thought was important, specifically being in a position that we were with the Hall of Fame, thought that it was important for our younger guys to be exposed to that. That's something in the state of Indiana that I'm not for sure. I know in the history of Jeffersonville, I think that we've been to the Hall of Fame 3 times, this last year being our 3rd time in the history of our program. So it's a huge honor to have an opportunity to play at Newcastle. So we had kind of a two-headed monster, if you will, during that time.
And you guys were kind of a late add to the Hall of Fame too, so kind of cool you got to be a part of that, and obviously implementing Trey back into it. But and I'll add on to that. After Sherron added that, guys, as players, can you kind of sense now that you're maybe, or at what point maybe did you feel like you're kind of hitting on all strides again?
Oh no, I feel like it started in practice. Like when we did get Trey back, it kind of just started to slowly build up because he's one of our main leaders. So once he got back in practice, we kind of just started to slowly get back to where we used to be, and now I feel like we're clicking on all cylinders. So the games matter in the season, but once we get to March, that's when it really matters. So it's good to be clicking now. And
PJ, who is of the 3 of you guys? Who is kind of the vocal leader? Who's the guy who's going to get in the huddle and say what needs to be said, or how do you kind of split that up between you guys?
I think we do a good job of splitting it up. We don't really have a main one. We all just come together and talk.
I'm sure Sherron takes part of that too, right?
Kyle, I will tell you, these guys show you typically have 2 types of leader. Actually, you have 3 types of leader. You have the silent leader. You have the leader that leads by example, and then you have the vocal leader. And I will tell you that all 3 have filled all 3 capacities at one point or another during this journey. And from a coaching perspective, it's priceless to be able to have that type of leadership in a program, specifically when you're trying to attain such a high level as we are here in the state of Indiana.
I know, just from watching Trey get back out there and play, can you sense things opening up for you guys as players where, hey, they can't come out and try to lock up PJ or you, Michael. They have to really kind of, obviously they got to defend Trey as well. Has that opened up some things for you guys as guards?
Oh, of course, because Trey's down low a lot, so the defense has to collapse, and it just gives you open looks outside.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, having him back, like our second and third option are both Division I players, so like it's really hard to stop. So it's a big factor having him back for sure.
And I got to say, and I know Sherron knows a lot about this. The only state champion team in the history of the school was 1993, and I know for a program that has a lot of tradition and wins, and have been to the state finals. Again, they went in '95, but not been able to get through over the hump. I guess Sherron, what would that? I know that's why you're not why you coach, but part of why you want to coach is to be able to do that again. But what would that mean to you in the community to get it back to that level?
Kyle, I think that it's important for the community specifically. Obviously, the players are a huge part of that, but the success of a state championship in the state of Indiana surpasses all players. So it's something that's going to resonate forever, if you will. Excuse me. But I think that it's way bigger than the players, if that makes sense. And having the opportunity, Kyle, in this community to have been a small part of the state championship, the one that we have. I'm 50 years old, and to this day, everywhere I go into town, I run into somebody that mentions that time, and it was 35 years ago. So I just think that from a community standpoint, that it's extremely imperative that we take full advantage of this opportunity because it doesn't come around very often.
As players, how much do you guys hear much about that '93 team growing up?
Growing up, I didn't really hear too much about it. Like I knew of it, but it didn't really hit me until I got around Coach Wilkerson and he explained it, and then people started coming to us and explaining it. But like growing up, I was too young to understand.
And Michael, how much do you think it would mean? Have you thought about that in your mind, and what that might be like to lead Jeffersonville to something like that again?
Yeah, it would be amazing, honestly. Like it's been 30 years, and it's only been done one time in our history of our school. So just having that under our belt, it would be awesome. Just be able to bring the community together, I just feel like it'd be awesome.
And I wanted to ask you guys too, as players, I was at that Ben Davis game last year in the semi-state at Newcastle, and you're so close. It's got to be heartbreaking to be that close and not be able to finish it out. But what was that like in the aftermath of losing that game and seeing your sort of your dream be right there, and it had to be exciting, but then it kind of got away from you there a little bit at the end. But how'd you kind of process that, and how did that resonate throughout the summer for you guys?
It was definitely a big motivation throughout the summer, and I think we learned our lesson from it, and we prepared pretty well. So we're just trying to get back to that point now that we know what it feels like.
I agree. I think it definitely fueled our fire, and just over the summer, I feel like when we didn't want to work out, we always stopped back to that moment. So it just really fueled our fire.
And Sherron, where have you seen these two, PJ and Michael especially, maybe take their game from last year to this year as players maybe on and off the floor?
So two things. Number one, their approach to bettering themselves from a developmental standpoint on and off the floor. The time that they've spent in the film room, the time that they've spent on the court specifically. And then from a playing standpoint, they've learned how to make plays within a system. And I think that is so critical, especially in today's game. I mean, when I came in here, Kyle, these guys were really talented, specifically having the ability to play off the dribble. But I think in order to attain a high success rate in Indiana at a high school level, at the 4A level specifically, you have to understand how to play basketball. And we really challenged these guys over the last year and a half to start making those adjustments, and they've done a really, really good job of embracing that challenge.
What do you see with your sectional next week? What maybe concerns you? Obviously, these teams that you play this time of year in the sectional week, basically for everybody, they're neighbors, they're rivals, they're teams you see during the season. I know you just played New Albany recently, and I'm sure they're going to be gunning for you guys, and as well as the other teams in there. But what do you see out of your sectional next week when you get to Seymour?
So our message has been we're the sprint. We're ending the sprint for the season. We're moving into the marathon, which is a post-season tournament play. And our message has been to our guys: one shining moment. It's real. Right? You get one opportunity, and there's been a lot of guys that has been knocked out first punch. So we've made a point of emphasis to make sure that we make sure all our I's is dotted and our T's are crossed when we step foot on this floor to start the tournament run. Because we got an X on our back, Kyle, and everybody is gunning for us. And it just seems that every time we step on the floor, our opponent gives us their best shot. So we got to be ready mentally to take that challenge. And I think that if you're ready mentally to take that challenge, then I think that you respond physically. I think that mentally, if you're not there, then physically it doesn't matter what you have. The body doesn't respond. So that's been our huge point of emphasis, getting ourselves prepared to make this run.
And I should say Jeffersonville opens with Scottsburg on Tuesday of next week at Seymour. And the winner of that will play Bedford North Lawrence, New Albany, Seymour, and Floyd on the other side of that bracket. Guys, you've been through these battles before in sectional play. Obviously did really well last year. Made it to, like I said, that final game right before the state finals and 1 point away. What's different as players when you hit the floor for a sectional game, maybe compared to what it's like during the season?
Definitely knowing like we could go home after that 32 minutes. Like I feel like that when we go into the sectional games or regional or whatever it is, we go all out because we know there is no next game when it comes to the end of the season. So it's not overlooking anybody, taking it game by game, and hopefully we can play all 7 and get to the state championship.
PJ, do you feel some pressure, or is it self-induced, or do you feel maybe some extra weight, knowing the expectations that this team has going in?
Maybe just a little bit, but to me, it all starts in practice. So the pressure comes from practice. In the game, you just got to trust the work you put into practice.
And playing at Seymour, what's that? You obviously know what that's like. I think one of my favorite games all time I covered at Seymour when Romeo Langford and that New Albany team played Warren Central, and David Bell hit the shot there at the. I'll never forget that. But what's it like playing there at Seymour?
Oh, it's a great gym. I love playing there. It's wide. They got good lighting, nice rims. I just like everything about it. Every time I'm there, it's fun.
Nice soft rims. Not that you guys need that often, but as you get into this last week here, guys. I mean, how just do you feel? I guess like you're obviously a 10-game winning streak. You probably do, but do you feel like you're kind of headed in the right direction here?
I would definitely say so. I mean, I feel like we're kind of getting hot at the right time, like I said earlier. So just carrying that momentum into Tuesday after we hopefully take care of business Friday. So just not overlooking anybody, like I said. Just doing what we do, just not worrying about who's across from us.
And how about you, Sherron? It's a little bit different for me, Kyle. I've spent the 3 years here with these guys, man, and we became pretty close. Man, so winding down here for the last month. Obviously, we got to get ourselves ready to play in the tournament, but we've also talked about the time that we get to spend together. I mean, man, this is it, right? Man, we get to hopefully make this deep run into the tournament. I mean, man, every moment in the locker room, every moment in the film session, every moment on the floor, every moment on the bus, every moment on the restaurant on the way, every moment, man, is precious. So, man, I think that's the thing for me, seeing these guys grow up from young men to men, and now being able to have the opportunity to go play at the highest level. It's been surreal. So we're very blessed.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining me here. I heard the bell ringing. Hopefully that doesn't mean you're late for class or something. But
right day, Kyle. It's perfect timing, my friend.
Well, good stuff. Well, thanks again. Again, Jeffersonville, 16-5, ranked number 6 in 4A, and have won 10 in a row. They will start play next week at sectional 15 at Seymour, and hopefully for their sake, making a run back up here to Indianapolis at the end of the season. But appreciate you guys coming on. Hope Trey feels okay.
Kyle, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it, buddy.
You bet. Thanks, guys.